Beyonce.
We love y'all. We love y'all. We want y'all to get it right, at least get it close to right. And obviously it's subjective. Y'all don't gotta clap at everything.
They built an empire off of secrets, but now that silence is cracking wide open. Whispers about Beyoncé and Jay-Z are turning into full-blown roars. And this time, it ain't about chart-topping hits or red carpets. We're talking betrayal, legacy, and a buried truth that could shake their empire to the core.
To find out who my father was, and for the case not to go how I was planning it, I really thought it was going to go different than.
Court insiders are saying a judge may have officially ordered Jay-Z to take a DNA test, all because Rymir Satwa, a 31-year-old man with uncanny features just like Hov, claims he's the result of a hush-hush fling from the early 90s.
Not just about me. If I gotta fight for all of us, I will, but I won't let the court systems just walk over me. I won't let Jay-Z, I won't let no one just walk over me and tell me something because y'all just saying this. I want the truth. And if we can't go to the Supreme Courts, the regular courts, to find out the truth, what are they here for?
Yeah, all right, we'll get to the legal things that you've been through, the battles.
And if this test proves what Rymir's been shouting for over a decade, we're not just talking a new name on a birth certificate. We're talking a detonation under one of Hollywood's most bulletproof marriages.
Obviously it's subjective because, it's music and it's opinion-based, but, something.
Word is Beyoncé might already be moving like a queen in exile, packing her crown and preparing her escape. Behind closed doors, sources say she's been planning this move silently but savagely for years. Real estate sleuths and flight trackers have clocked shady solo jet trips booked under her team's secret aliases. Quiet luxury real estate deals popping up in Malibu and Paris, and now her security team? Yeah, multiple bodyguards have been pulled off Jay-Z's protection detail, allegedly reassigned directly under Bey. One longtime guard spilled that she's been training for freedom like it's a military op. That's not just putting space between them, that's a whole exit strategy.
So at what age then did you start to question, who your parents could be?
Well, I wouldn't say I started to question it, but I said around like 7, maybe 6. And I think it started at 6. And my mom was just telling me that my father wasn't my father. But as a kid, I really didn't look.
And let's be real, Beyoncé doesn't wing anything. Not when she's guarding billions, 3 kids, and a brand image polished to perfection. Let's talk signs. Because when it comes to Beyoncé, her symbols hit way harder than any public statement. For years, fans clung to that famous IV tattoo on her ring finger, perfectly matching Jay-Z's. It symbolized way more than birthdays or wedding dates. It screamed unity, fate, even destiny itself. But now, that ink is gone. First faded, then blurred out in pics, and finally be completely erased.
Actually, my mom was at a show, and she was with a friend. And I guess her and her friend stayed to, after the show, he was doing little signings and little autographs and stuff like that. I guess he wasn't too big, but I guess females, when the show is over, you can sign little autographs and stuff like that, talk to the people who perform. She said she went up there.
Her left hand now sparkles with icy designer rings, but none tied to the past. And let's not play. Beyoncé doesn't accidentally delete history. Every detail of her image is calculated like a chessboard. That tattoo vanishing, that was a silent funeral. While some fans tried to spin it as just a style switch-up, insiders aren't buying it. They're calling it exactly what it looks like when a cold, hard message. And here's where it gets deeper.
All appears calm and normal until Solange Knowles, Beyoncé's sister, lunges at her brother.
Legal sources close to the Rymir Satwa case are spilling tea about what they're calling a full-blown separation simulation. Multiple insiders claim that back in 2021, way before this DNA drama hit the press, Beyoncé's camp kicked off a whole legal firewall strategy. We're talking offshore trust setups, private home leases just for her and the kids, and even hiring a separate legal squad not for business, but for family law. Yep, you heard that right. This wasn't just insurance. This was divorce planning, and not in panic mode. This was Beyoncé playing the long game.
Got anything, so why wouldn't I believe my mom? We could have been settled this, and it only takes a conversation and some words. I'm not a hateful guy. I don't hate anyone. I'm not after nobody. I'm not trying to see no one downfall, but this is just some things that just went through court, and they just expected me to just sit there and just take what they were saying.
According to one lawyer tied to Rock Nation, she wasn't caught off guard by any of this. She saw it coming and started prepping years ago. Which brings us back to Rymir. He's not just a tabloid headline anymore. He's the match that might burn this whole legacy down. He's not just some clout chaser. He's a grown man who spent over a decade begging Jay-Z to acknowledge him as his son. Rymir's been fighting this battle almost his whole life. His mom, Wanda, filed affidavits. His guardians tried everything to get the courts to recognize his case. But every time they got close, boom, sealed files, red tape, and mysterious dead ends. It was one man with no father up against a billionaire with the most powerful lawyers in the game, until now.
Exactly 10 years ago, they say this was a party for Diddy's son, King Combs, but all the names involved here are huge. Huge. Talking Beyoncé, Jay-Z, LeBron James. Now, all of those people are just witnesses, according to this lawsuit.
Something just snapped loose. In the flurry of recent legal filings, a thread came undone. And now it looks like a judge whose name hasn't even been released yet has formally demanded a DNA test from Jay-Z and Beyoncé. Word is, she's done waiting to see how her husband handles it.
He took them to some apartment building, and you know, they did what they did in there. You know, talked a little bit, had a good time, party, and I guess you know, I can't fully talk as my mom because I'm not my mom. I'm just telling you guys what she told me. And I honestly just believe her. You know, it's just no.
Sources say trust between them is shattered, not just because of what Rymir might prove, but because of how deeply this whole thing was buried. Apparently, Beyoncé knew about the allegations years ago. But what she didn't know, the lengths Jay's legal crew may have gone to shut it all down. According to two ex-Rock Nation insiders and a paralegal linked to the New Jersey court, Jay-Z's team may have offered off-the-books favors or shady deals to someone tied to the legal process, all to get Rymir's case tossed out on some technicality. That story hasn't gone public yet, but behind the scenes, it's spreading like wildfire through music law circles. And if even half of that is true, this isn't just personal betrayal anymore. This could be a full-on conspiracy, a brand-protecting machine moving in silence, just to erase a man claiming to be his son.
So there would presumably be people who could verify it or say it didn't happen.
Yeah, and that's one of the problems. You're right. When you mention all those people, they may all have alibis.
Well, Jay-Z certainly seems to have one.
Yeah.
So Jay-Z has mentioned that he's there with Beyoncé, but we know that Jay-Z was in New York.
Yes.
The night that it was supposed to be. Now,
the night of King Combs of his birthday, which it happens to be April.
Beyoncé built her entire image on power, healing, and fierce feminine energy, a queen of strength, motherhood, and breaking generational chains. But now, she's starting to look like a silent accomplice, and for the woman who gave us Lemonade, that's a bad look. Suddenly, her silence feels less like grace and more like strategy. But you can't stay quiet forever, not when the world starts screaming for answers. Things between her and Jay-Z have turned weirdly robotic in public. Separate entrances at major events, forced smiles with zero warmth. At one LA family dinner, they reportedly sat at opposite ends of the table, flanked by PR teams, barely saying a word to each other. And that big Jay-Z exhibition opening in Brooklyn, Beyoncé showed up, but not like a wife. She arrived with Blue Ivy in a separate car, gave a cold, calculated smile for the cameras, and dipped before the after party even started. One staffer who worked the event didn't hold back. They said she looked like a woman handling business, not someone standing beside her man. And that's the kind of emotional distance you don't always catch right away. But when you look back, the clues were there the whole time. Fans are now rewatching old footage, rereading lyrics, dissecting interviews like it's a crime scene.
Oh, Mr. Diddy, aka Mr. Love, Nap, Dr.
No, Sean Carter.
One moment has folks talking. At the Renaissance film premiere, Jay leaned in for a kiss, and Beyoncé subtly turned her head so it landed on her cheek instead. Then there's her tour fashion. No more blues or blacks, just bold gold and icy silver, huge diamond rings, but not her wedding ring. And during her award show sweep, she thanked her kids, she thanked the fans, she thanked her team, but Jay-Z, not one word. All of this is casting a huge shadow over Jay-Z's own crisis, and it's getting darker by the day. While he's caught up in fresh lawsuits tied to alleged paternity and past misconduct, with claims flying from cover-ups to potential fraud and even murkier stuff, Beyoncé looks like she's slipping out the back door. Her team is moving tight-lipped and tactical, shutting down media questions, quietly walking back any divorce talk, and even reposting old cozy family pics to keep the public calm.
I got older and my mom just continued to say the same thing, and she never changed the name. Like, she always was staying with the same name. I'm like, well, why? Like, as I got to 16, 17, I'm like, Mom, you've been saying this since I was a kid. So it's like, now my mom never lied to me, so why not?
But don't get it twisted. Behind the curtain, the real story is looking way different. This ain't the first time we've seen this strategy. Carefully controlled photos, cold body language, and a slow, subtle shift in branding. Not Mrs. Carter, not the ride or die wife, just Beyoncé Knowles. And for those thinking this might just be a bump in the road, think again. A source inside her inner Houston circle just confirmed she's already met twice with a top-tier family law attorney, one who specializes in quiet breakups for high-net-worth clients. That's not speculation. Those are real appointments on a very real calendar. And if that court-ordered DNA test confirms what Rymir's been saying since way back in 2010, this won't just be a breakup, it'll be a whole statement. Because Beyoncé isn't just an artist. She's a global symbol of empowerment, justice reform, and female strength. So standing next to a man tangled in allegations like this, that could crush everything she's built. Silence might have been survival once, but now, it's starting to look like complicity.
Something I really would want to find out because, in the future.
Let's get real. This ain't just about a DNA test. This is about legacy. Jay-Z and Beyoncé didn't just build a marriage. They crafted a whole mythology, the Bonnie and Clyde of music, the ultimate power couple that every celeb duo wanted to be. But now, if these whispers turn out to be facts, if there's bribery, betrayal, and a child whose only crime was being born, then everything they've built is hanging by a thread.
We just fought it. Like, it was never to chase anyone or make anyone feel like, we just trying to come up with a plan to take your money. I don't want your money. That's not what I'm here for. I'm really here to just find the truth out. And it seemed like that was just so hard to do in these courts. Like, these courts are not.
We're not just talking PR damage, we're talking brand collapse. A billion-dollar image built on love, unity, and power, suddenly exposed for what it might have really been. A carefully curated illusion. And what's chilling? These whispers about judges being influenced, they didn't come from tabloids, they came from insiders, people who were in the room when the deals were made. The public hasn't seen that story hit the front page yet, but if it does, game over. The silence from Beyoncé's side is getting louder, and under that still, polished surface, something way more dangerous is bubbling up. If this split goes down, and all signs say it's already in motion behind the scenes, the aftermath won't be about mansions, kids, or curated Instagram feeds. It'll be about the truth finally clawing its way out.
Felonies, I'm not crazy or none of that. It's like, I just want the truth, and it's so hard to get it from the courts. And it seems like Jay-Z don't want to say anything. So, I don't want to see him go down for something that, you could have just got taken care of. That's it.
Because this didn't start with just a man looking for his dad. It started there. But now it could crack open years of sealed court files, ignored subpoenas, and names that pop up too many times in too many places. And those places? They just happen to be at the center of multiple ongoing federal investigations. We even traced Jay-Z's Gulfstream flight logs using a legit civil aviation tracker. And what we uncovered, it opens up even more questions, just ones that hit way beyond just family drama. A former Roc Nation insider confirmed that Jay-Z's private jet was logged landing in Miami just days before one of Diddy's infamous freak-off weekends allegedly went down. Another entry puts Jay's plane on the tarmac at Teterboro, the exact New Jersey airport used to fly VIPs out to Diddy's upstate mansion. And that estate? Yeah, it's now under investigation for alleged incidents involving coerced misconduct.
Fact that anybody can find. Sure. But what happened once he got into this party at Diddy's house is outrageous. And I know we're supposed to take every lawsuit seriously because we don't know, we weren't there. The Gloria Estefan part, that's just the start. How Beyonce gets involved.
So now people are asking, why was Jay-Z's jet touching down in all these same places at all the exact right times? Is this some wild coincidence, or was it all by design? One former Roc Nation staffer who only agreed to talk under anonymity said it flat out. Jay knew what happened at Diddy's parties. Everyone who got invited did. You don't just show up by mistake. And you don't bring your own crew. You use theirs. That's how it worked. If that's true, then we're not just talking guilt by association. This is about logistics, a paper trail. One Beyoncé may have known about for months, if not years. And that changes everything. If she's been aware of this, then her silence isn't just about avoiding headlines. It's about strategic distance, a way to insulate herself from a potential storm that's reaching way beyond her marriage. This wouldn't be the first time Beyoncé let silence do the heavy lifting. Over time, she's mastered a secret language, not spoken, but shown, through visual symbolism, body language, and who's not in the room. When Beyoncé removed that IV tattoo, it wasn't just about ending a chapter with Jay-Z, it was a ritual. A quiet, surgical separation. That Roman numeral wasn't random ink. It symbolized their birthdays, their wedding day, their entire fairy tale mythology. Wiping it away wasn't some style choice. It was grief in reverse, a personal funeral for a marriage the world still thought was solid gold. But the cracks? They started showing long before the DNA drama. Beyoncé's been sending silent signals for years, wrapped in glam but dripping in emotion. Remember that pixie cut back in 2013? At the time, folks called it a bold new look, but stylists in her inner circle say it was timed down to the day, dropped right after a major tour ended. It wasn't just hair, it was a statement. That chop was shedding more than strands, it was shedding him. Since then, it's been one symbolic move after another. Wedding ring off, cold body language on blazing red carpets, and icy poses that made you feel the distance through the screen. These weren't fashion choices, they were power plays. When your voice is watched and twisted every time you speak, you let your body do the talking. And Beyoncé's body, it's been screaming. Her transformation during the Renaissance era is no coincidence. She's still shining, but now it's a different kind of glow. One that's glittering, but cold. Bold, but veiled. It's Beyoncé stepping fully into her power. Alone. No more performing as half of a duo. No more bending herself to fit the myth. This isn't just Beyoncé walking away from a man. This is her breaking free from a legacy. Every public moment since has been stitched with the same message. The mourning happened in private. The vows were torched off camera. And now, she's rebuilding. Not soft, not emotional, but strategic. Surgical. She's already halfway out the door and she's not looking back. And then we have Rymir, the man at the center of this storm. According to court filings and media statements, all he's ever wanted was truth. But instead of getting answers, he's been blocked at every turn. And now, sources close to the case say he's also being targeted. In the months before his most recent lawsuit dropped, Rymir reportedly received multiple anonymous phone calls telling him to back off, some even threatening. But here's where it gets disturbing. At least 2 of those calls were traced back to mass digital numbers tied to a well-known LA PR firm. And guess what? That's the same firm Beyoncé's team uses for crisis control and media cleanup. So let's just ask it straight. Why would Beyoncé's people have any reason to monitor, let alone contact, the alleged son of Jay-Z? She's never claimed him, never spoken his name. So why would Beyoncé's crisis team be circling a paternity case filed by a total stranger? Unless that stranger was actually a lot closer to her orbit than we were ever meant to know? If Beyoncé truly had nothing to do with hiding the truth, then why does her name show up in the metadata of legal communications tied to Rymir's case? A former paralegal who briefly worked with a law firm involved on the fringes claims she was given one clear instruction. Don't mention the singer. We're not supposed to name her in emails. That's not distance, that's orchestration. And it gets even darker. Legal watchdogs digging through the court records have flagged a mess of procedural red flags. Timestamps that vanish, hearings that were never scheduled, affidavits sealed for no clear reason. Then it gets shady in the clerk's office. Multiple court staff in New Jersey were mysteriously reassigned during the exact time Rymir's filings were allegedly delayed or misplaced. And here's the jaw-dropper. One judge whose name shows up both in Rymir's court docs and in unrelated business deals tied to Roc Nation, he retired midterm. No press release, no public statement, just disappeared. If this is a cover-up, and all signs point in that direction, then we're not talking about some favor or slip-up. We're looking at a full-blown institutional defense system, a machine built to protect one of the most powerful families in American pop culture. Not just to shield Jay-Z from scandal, but to make absolutely sure Beyoncé never has to take the stand, never has to answer for what she may have known and when. Because now, the questions go way beyond, is Jay-Z the father, bro? Now we're staring down the legal implications of that birth. Rymir's mother, Wanda Satterthwaite, was reportedly just 16 years old when she got pregnant. Jay-Z, he was in his early 20s. And if that relationship happened the way it's been alleged, in a state where the legal age of consent was 17, this situation doesn't just scream scandal, it whispers criminal liability. And here's the part nobody's putting on headlines yet. If Beyoncé knew about this years ago, if she knew that the core of Jay-Z's buried secret involved a possible statutory offense, and she still chose silence, then what does that say about the values her entire brand is built on? For years, we've been sold Beyoncé as a feminist icon, a generational healer, a champion for women, mothers, daughters, survivors, a goddess in heels who stood for truth, strength, and empowerment. But now, that image is clashing with a darker possibility, that she may have helped shield a man from accountability to protect the billion-dollar empire they built together. So what is this sudden split really about? A woman finding her freedom, or a preemptive pivot before the explosion? Because let's not forget, court orders can be unsealed in a heartbeat. Depositions can leak when you least expect it. And if Rymir finally gets that DNA result he's been chasing for over a decade, the story changes completely. This won't end with headlines. It could blow the whole thing wide open. We're talking fresh lawsuits, possible appeals to reopen cases that were tossed out on technicalities. And if those sealed records ever get cracked open, the fallout could be massive. We're talking hidden financial transfers, buried internal memos, even leaked emails between high-powered legal teams and elite crisis handlers. At that point, this won't just be a messy breakup, it'll be the slow, public collapse of a dynasty that's weathered everything except the truth. So now we turn it over to you. What if the DNA test confirms Jay-Z is the father? What if that truth drags out not just betrayal, but a potential crime? And what if Beyoncé, the queen of control, the master of silence, knew the whole time and helped bury it beneath sold-out tours, flawless PR runs, and those Grammy speeches everyone called iconic? Is she making a clean break or covering her own tracks? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear everything. Do you think the Carter's empire is cracking? Or is this all just smoke and mirrors? Either way, one thing's for sure, this storm is just heating up. So make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to see the real tea. Hit that bell so you never miss what's coming next. And as always, stay bold, stay curious, and we'll see you on the next one.